Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sharadel Barnido, and my co-reporter, Jenny and Agyon, will discuss all about PIDGIN. So, there are terms about language variation, the language styles, the language dialects, the lingua franca, the PIDGIN, the creoles, the dialect, the registrar, and the modes. And we will focus on the PIDGIN. So, what is PIDGIN? So, according to Wikipedia, PIDGIN or Pidgin language is a grammatically simplified means of communication that develops between two or more groups that do not have a language in common. So, typically, its vocabulary and grammar are limited and often drawn from several languages. So, meaning to say, Pidgin are language that develop of two or more individuals with different languages. So, in linguistics, pidgin is a simplified form of speech formed out of one or more existing language and used as a lingua franca by people who have no other language in common, also known as a pidgin language or an auxiliary language. So, in linguistics, pidgin defined as a lingua franca of a people who have no other language in common. So according to R.L. Trask and Peter Stockwell, Pidgin is nobody's mother tongue and it's not a real language at all. So according to them, Pidgin is nobody's mother tongue. It has no elaborate grammar. So according to them also, Pidgin has no grammar at all. And Pidgin is very limited in what it can convey. So Pidgin is limited. According to them, different people speak it differently. So I said a while ago that Pidgin is a language that different people speak it differently. So for them, still for simple purposes, it does work and often everybody in the area learns to handle. So according to them also, Pidgin is also have a simple purpose. So it in several differences it always works, so everybody is always learns to handle it. Based on my research, I got the classifications of pidgin. The first is the jargon, the second one is the stable pidgin, the third one is the extended or the expanded pidgin, and the fourth one is the creole. So first we will discuss all about jargon. So, jargon, in this stage, there is a great individual variation, a very simple sound system, one or two word utterances, and a very small lexicon. So, this is just a self-explanatory because we all know that jargon is a one or two word utterances. So, jargon is a first classification of pidgin. So, the second one is the stable pidgin. When you say stable pidgin, this is more regular and more complex. So, and these are social norms regarding its use. So, compared to jargon, stable pidgin are more regular and more complex. The third one is the extended or the expanded pidgin. So, when we say extended pidgin, it is pidgins that are not only stabilized but expanded to become more grammatically complex. So, and to serve as well-established lingua francas, sometimes with official or other status. So, meaning to say, those are the pidgin that are extended or expanded to serve as a well-established lingua franca. They stabilize to become more grammatically complex. And the last one is the creole. So, in this stage, the pidgin is creolized. That is, it is acquired as a first language by children, particularly in urban areas. And that's all for my report. Kindly allow Miss Jenny Ann Agyon, my co-reporter for Pidgin, and she will discuss all about the importance of Pidgin and its origin. So, bye!
Good day everyone, I will be discussing about the origin of pidgin, some example of it, characteristics and importance of pidgin. A language typically developed out of sporadic and limited contacts between Europeans and non-Europeans in locations other than Europe from the 16th through the 19th century, and and is often associated with activities such as trade, plantation agriculture, and mining. Many pigeons have arisen when colonial powers came into contact with local people as they spread around the world. I would discuss five examples of English pigeon. First is Nigerian pigeon English. Second, Chinese pigeon English. Third is Hawaiian pigeon English. Fourth is Queensland Kanaka English. Third is Bislama. Nigerian Pidgin English is originated as lingua franca for trade purposes among Nigerian and Portuguese. Next is Chinese Pidgin English, a contact language widely used along the coast of China in the 18th and 19th century. Next is Hawaiian Pidgin English, evolved from the sugar industry which began in the mid-1850s in the Maui. Next is Queensland Kanaka English, an English-based pidgin language that was spoken by Melanesian laborers in Queensland, Australia from the 1860s. Next is Bislama, one of the official languages of the Pacific island nation of Vanuatu. Pidgin usually have the following characteristics. First is their morphology. Morphology is usually isolating. They tend not to have complicated phrase structures. Syllables tend to be simple and often lack codes or codas. Consonant clusters are simplified. Linguistic characteristics such as gender and number, singular and plural are excluded. For example of pigeon is if can, if no can, no can, which means if I can get to it, I will, if not, I cannot. That is the meaning of that pigeon. As you see, that pigeon doesn't have the right grammar because the the speaker only say what he can say in that language that his or she's talking to can understand what she is or he is saying. If can, if no can, no can. Importance of pigeon. First is they can provide a connection between different cultural groups. Second, the means to engage socially and build community. And lastly, they are also important in linguistic terms.